George Bruno here with the 21 Report. We're at the 21 Summit in Orlando, Florida, and I'm having a conversation with Tanner and Brikaeli Guzy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I will start with your wife.
Go
You
for it.
attended here in 2017.
I did.
3 years later now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen a difference?
A huge difference. A huge difference. The biggest difference is that, well, there are a lot of differences. In 2017, I was just here to spend time with Tanner, to help him with photography, to just kind of run things in the back for him. But I did sit in on a lot of the speeches, and it was pretty uncomfortable for me. It was a lot of that emphasis on more sexual dynamics and red pill things in that way. And while I don't disagree with all of those, I certainly don't. I accept a lot of them. It was uncomfortable. And this year, it's evolved so much. I really appreciate how Anthony has allowed you speakers to evolve and to grow and to share that and to encourage that with all the other men here. To hear so much talk on family and fatherhood and to see the desire of men. I've seen their goals change. I've seen their desires change and what they hope to get out of the conference change into something, in my opinion, that's simply more. There's more depth, there's more room for who they could be. And I really appreciated that change. Yeah.
No discomfort this time around?
Well, for different reasons.
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do this.
Okay.
No, but not that same kind of discomfort. I actually have found I've felt a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement that there are this many men and that they want to make the world bigger and better, and they want it for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you spoke with your husband. You did kind of a Q&A session at the 22 convention. Tell us about that.
That was interesting. I was not expecting the questions that we got. They were much more straightforward, I think, less philosophical, a little more practical. And it was very fun to see those women, to see them so curious and so interested in things outside of their normal day-to-day thoughts and feelings and routines, that they were here to grow as well. They were here to expand as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was younger women, older women, divorced women, single women, women who've had babies, women who've never had children, and I think there was a grandmother or two in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was not expecting there to be so many women with more wisdom, more age, more experience, and I really appreciated what their questions actually gave back to us. You know, they framed things very differently than what we were expecting, and it was fantastic.
Excellent. Is Tanner a different man when he's not on stage or in a situation like this?
The only thing that's different, barely, is the volume of his voice.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But whether it's just the two of us at home or we're with friends or with family, he's always exploring ideas. He's always speaking his mind. He's always trying to push not other people's boundaries, but he is trying to push the limits of what we're all thinking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you react to, honey, I'm going to start boxing?
I was so excited. I was thrilled, and I'm excited at the thought of him taking another fight next year. One of my favorite things about Tanner is watching him try different things and pushing himself out of his comfort zone, because I want him to grow. I want him to be more, and I knew that him getting punched in the face and getting wrecked would do that for him. And I was excited for what that would do for our kids to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it, a triathlon coming up now?
Already done.
Already done?
Yeah, and she was there cheering me on the whole time. And she was the one who was supportive when it was 5 in the morning and it was dark out, and I had a 5-hour ride followed by an hour and a half run on a Saturday morning, with the fact that she was there home alone with the kids for that many hours. And she's been a perfect cheerleader as I've tried to grow and expand. And not only a cheerleader for me, but like she said, how it's been good for the kids, because she takes the things that I do and the ways that I try to challenge myself and grow, and then she teaches our children why it's important and why it matters, and helps them glom onto those same principles and those same desires. And so we get to tag team that. And then she does the same thing herself. She's very modest about the fact that, she's done half marathons with me, and half the medals that are hanging up in the garage are medals that she's earned because she's pushed herself outside of her comfort zone. Or we go with the kids to cheer her on for her soccer games when she's playing with her friends. And so she's not just a cheerleader, she's a doer, and she does it within her own capacity as well. And we get to lead the session for our children, lead that with our kids in a way that works for them too. Yeah.
So you're a team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are there any times that you don't feel like a team?
It's not as frequent as it was.
I think that's when we do argue or there is contention, it's because we forget that.
Yes.
And bringing that reminder back into the conversation, we're not enemies. We're on the same team. We have the same goals, the same mission. That's what pretty quickly brings it back around to being able to figure things out.
Yeah, the only difference is, and we're very blessed that this situation, we're very grateful for it, but throughout the majority of our marriage, if not the entirety of it, the only differences have always been tactical. The objectives we're always in alignment on those. And even the greater strategies we're pretty aligned on. And so if there are differences, it's just down in the tactical approaches to things. And so like she said, if we get to the point where it's too argumentative or it's too contentious, then one or the other of us will be able to kind of step outside and recognize we are after the same goals. The objectives are the same, and then we help get the other person back into it. And so there isn't disparity there, and we are on the same team.
Yeah. You were also involved in the Patriarchy Event as well. Tell me about that.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite part. The sincerity of the attendees and the speakers is something that really moved me. We're blessed to we've grown up in a culture where fatherhood and family, it's what you do, it's reinforced, it's emphasized, it's a very natural course of life. But when we get glimpses outside of our community, it can be very disheartening. People don't care, or they don't care to do it right. Most people live on autopilot. And so to come here and to witness this, a lot of the speakers brought up this fire, and to witness all of these men, a room full of men, to have that fire and that drive was so encouraging. It was inspiring.
I did hear the phrase, light yourself on fire, or something like that.
One of Zach's, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. And a lot of people alluded to that. Let me ask you this. Is the word patriarchy or patriarch offensive to you in any way?
Not to me personally.
Okay.
Not at all. It's something that I cherish it. I love it. I grew up
You
wanting
cherish
it.
the patriarchy.
I do.
When I'm hearing the message out in the world, smash the patriarchy, why would someone want to do that?
Smash it?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think a lot of that obviously is based in fear. I think women as a whole we're afraid to relinquish any control we have, or perceived control that we have, over our own lives, or even over our own desires. And the thought of giving that up, I know for my mom, she did not cherish the patriarchy. She was a good woman. She did not cherish the patriarchy. It scared her. That's what she talked about. She was just afraid. I watched her be very afraid to hand anything over to anybody else. And I think it's that fear of a lack of control. And it drives us to anger, and it drives us to do all sorts of things. And I'm not sure what that fear is based in. I don't know. I don't know if you have generations of women who couldn't trust their fathers or their husbands, or, you know, I haven't really decided for myself what I think that's based in. But they just seem scared.
How have you seen your wife grow?
Man, how have I not? When we first got married, I was 26 and she was 21. So we were young. And that's one of the things that I love about it, is that neither one of us were I've used this term before, but we weren't calcified in who we were. It wasn't these hard edges that you're then trying to mesh into a functioning couple, but we were both very malleable and soft and capable of growing into something together. And so I've seen her go from this same kind of fear to the willing and willful, I'm going to submit on this, or I'm going to relinquish control on that, to seeing that because she does that, and I have to then step up my game, that it does bear good fruit for both of us, to seeing her fully embrace it. One of the examples that she gave in both Patriarchy and 22 was talking about, we were in New York a few months ago before all the COVID stuff hit. And she was able to just fully enjoy the experience because she knew that I was the one who was keeping track of where we were going and what our time schedule was. She knew that I was the one who was aware of who and what was around us, which didn't mean that she could totally turn off and that she wasn't self-aware and stuff like that. But she was able to drink in New York in a way that she would never otherwise have been able to if she had to shoulder all these other responsibilities. And so for her to get to experience and participate in the freedom of that, and she gets to do that with our kids. And at the same time, like I've talked about, she continues to grow. I see her make concerted efforts to be a more deliberate mother, to be softer, to be more patient, to be more forgiving. I see her teach our daughters to bring more beauty into the world and to celebrate that. I see her reinforce the things that I try and teach my son. There's something so great about my son hitting, he's 6, he's not even really lifting any weight, but he hits a little PR on deadlift. And as soon as we're done bumping our chest, the first thing he wants to do is run in and tell mom about it. Yeah. And for her to be genuinely excited about it for him, not a condescending, oh, that's cute because I don't understand, that's man stuff, whatever, but for her to be genuinely excited about it. And she wouldn't have been that way 9 years ago because she wouldn't have understood. And so she continues to, the way that she described this with the women in 22 is something that I love, because there are truths that we talk about here and they set her brain on fire because it hurts to see that. And the desire is to resist that. You don't want to acknowledge that women are this way or that men are this way or that because we're this way it leads to that or anything else. And infinitely to her credit, when something sets her brain on fire, rather than turning away from it, she goes toward it. She leans into it and fully lets it deconstruct her. And then like a phoenix, she builds back up into what it is. And then she's set free every single time it happens. And I see her do it again and again and again. And the love and the trust that's there, because I know that whatever the truth is, if it's a real truth and it's a good truth, when she does lean into it and she does allow it to set her on fire and we find out that it's good, that she will embrace it. That kind of growth is phenomenal. I've loved seeing that over the last decade.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's great. Over a year ago was the first Patriarch. And in my speech I talked about the nighttime rituals that I do with my children. And when you teach them nighttime rituals, those are the things that they will do to calm themselves as they get older. And you shared some nighttime rituals. What are nighttime rituals in the Guzy household?
In the Guzy household, when they come in after playing with friends or doing whatever they're doing, some of our nighttime rituals are, we always read together. always read together. We take turns putting the girls down and putting our son down. We alternate that. It involves breaking down our days. We do what's called a Guzy breakdown, and we ask them, we go through this, who are we Guzzies, what do we do, hard things, and then we ask each kid, what hard thing did you do today, how did you overcome it? And then we ask them the same things with kind things, good things, and fun things. We study our scriptures together, and we pray together, and there's a lot of physical contact, there's a lot of recharging that goes on that way. And one thing that we found is that the more we set our phones down in a way, and the more eye contact, the more physical contact we give them, the more just attention we pour on them, the better they sleep. They don't come out of their bedrooms 5 times a night for water or bathroom or whatever it is, trying to get contact, because that's what it really is. When we give them everything, they're settled, they're calm.
And don't think that it's all picturesque, because what happens 7 out of 10 nights is that whoever's turn it is to have dad put them down instead of have mom put them down is devastated that it's not their turn to have mom put them down.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty
there's
regular.
a little bit
That
of
is
the
part
balance
of
that
the
comes with
routine.
that. But we get to work through that stuff too.
Yeah.
But that has definitely become
That's true.
part
And
of
I
the
mean,
routine.
there's 4 of them, so there's chaos. There's trying to jump on the trampoline one last time before we throw them in bed, but it's good chaos.
It is. It's
Yeah.
good chaos.
It is.
I have to write that down. Good chaos.
Because it is. It's our kids being kids. It's them. Half the time, what we're trying to get them to stop doing is to stop playing with each other so that they can actually calm down and go to sleep, because they're having too much fun throwing stuffed animals up the stairs and trying to catch them or drop them down on each other. Most of the time, the chaos is them being phenomenal siblings with each other. And yeah, they fight, definitely, and there's a lot of the age dynamics and the gender dynamics and all these other things that come into play, but the majority of the chaos is good chaos, and we just try and channel it instead of kill it.
Yeah.
I like that. What would you tell women in general? Is there a general message for women who want family, to find a good husband? And I think I'm going to have you talk to them. They're right in that camera right there. Go ahead.
To be humble. I've said this a couple of times, but be humble. You have changes to make, and you have strengths to build on, and you can't see either of those clearly unless you're humble, unless you're willing to be honest with yourself and go through the pain that it takes to build yourself into someone who can be a good wife and a good mother and a good sister. So be humble.
I like that. Wow. Cherishing the patriarchy and good chaos. Conversation with Tanner and Brikaeli. Guzy. Thank you.
Thanks, George.